Simon Cowell was born on October 7th, 1959 in London, England, and grew up in the comfortable town of Elstree. From the outside, his childhood looked privileged. His mother, Julie Brett, had once been a ballet dancer, elegant and admired. His father, Eric Selig Philip Cowell, worked in the music industry and believed strongly in discipline and results. Yet the home Simon grew up in often felt emotionally distant. Love existed, but it was rarely spoken out loud. Praise was uncommon, and young Simon quietly longed for encouragement that never quite came. School did not make things easier. At Dover College, he struggled to fit into a system that valued order and conformity. Teachers often saw him as rebellious or difficult. In reality, he was restless and searching for something meaningful. By the time he left school with few qualifications, Simon carried a quiet fear that he might never find his place in the world. The invisible young man. In his early 20s, Simon's father helped him land a small job in the mailroom at EMI Music Publishing. It was hardly glamorous work. Day after day, he sorted letters, delivered packages, and watched producers and artists walk past him without noticing the young man quietly observing everything. But those long days became an unexpected education. Simon studied how music deals were made, how songs were chosen, and how artists were marketed to the public. At times, he felt invisible, like someone standing behind a curtain while others lived the exciting life on stage. Yet he paid close attention to every detail. When he briefly left the job hoping for something better, reality proved harsh, and he eventually returned to the same mailroom desk. Instead of seeing it as failure, Simon slowly began to see it as training. Those quiet years gave him a rare understanding of how the music industry really worked, a risk that led to failure. In the early 1980s, Simon took a bold step. He left EMI and launched a small record label called Fanfare Records with his partner Ellis Rich. At first, things looked promising. A novelty hit, So Macho by Sanita, climbed the UK charts and brought Simon his first taste of real success. The young entrepreneur suddenly found himself attending industry parties and speaking confidently about his future. But the music business can change quickly. By the end of the decade, musical trends shifted and the label struggled to produce new hits. Sales slowed, contracts fell apart, and the company eventually collapsed. Simon was only 30 years old when the business failed completely. The financial loss forced him to move back into his parents' home. For someone who had just tasted success, returning to his childhood bedroom felt painfully humbling and deeply uncertain. A new stage on television. In 2001, Simon Cowell stepped into a different spotlight when he joined the judging panel of the British singing competition Pop Idol. The show's creator, Simon Fuller, believed audiences wanted honest feedback rather than polite encouragement. Simon's straightforward style quickly stood out. Viewers were surprised by how direct he could be, yet many appreciated the authenticity. When the format expanded internationally as American Idol in 2002, the program became one of the biggest television successes of its era. Millions tuned in weekly, and the show introduced the world to stars such as Kelly Clarkson and Carrie Underwood. Simon's distinctive judging style made him one of the most recognizable personalities on television. For someone who once felt invisible in a mailroom, it was a remarkable transformation. Building a global talent empire television success encouraged Simon to think bigger. In 2004, he launched The X Factor, a show that expanded the talent competition format by welcoming groups and older performers. It soon produced global acts like One Direction and Little Mix. 2 years later, he introduced another franchise, Britain's Got Talent, which later expanded worldwide as America's Got Talent. These shows gave singers, dancers, magicians, and performers of all kinds a stage to share their talent. One unforgettable moment came when Susan Boyle stunned audiences with her powerful voice. As these programs spread across dozens of countries, Simon's company, Psycho Entertainment, built a global entertainment network. What began as one judge's opinion evolved into a massive platform that introduced countless performers to international audiences. A personal turning point. Despite professional success, Simon's personal life experienced a dramatic shift in 2013 when he began a relationship with Lauren Silverman. The situation attracted intense media attention and was widely discussed in tabloids. For Simon, it was a challenging moment that forced him to reflect on his choices and priorities. The following year, their son Eric Cowell was born. Becoming a father at age 54 changed Simon in ways he had never expected. Friends noticed that he became calmer and more focused on family life. Long workdays slowly gave way to evenings spent reading bedtime stories or building toys together. The man known for sharp television critiques discovered a quieter role as a parent. In interviews, he often said that fatherhood reshaped how he viewed success, reminding him that personal relationships matter far more than headlines or ratings. Facing life's fragility. In 2020, Simon experienced a serious accident while testing an electric bike at his home in Malibu. The fall caused significant back injuries that required complex surgery and months of rehabilitation. Recovery was slow and demanded patience, something the fast-paced producer had rarely practiced before. Physical therapy gradually helped him regain strength, though the experience reminded him how fragile health can be. A second, less serious accident in 2022 reinforced the same lesson. These events encouraged Simon to adopt a slower lifestyle. He reduced some work commitments and focused more on family time and well-being. The shift marked a turning point. Rather than chasing endless projects, he began prioritizing balance, time with loved ones, quiet mornings, and the simple gratitude of feeling healthy again. Losses that brought reflection. In 2015, Simon faced a deeply personal loss when his mother, Julie Brett, passed away at the age of 89. Her death reminded him of how important family connections are, even when they are complicated. Years earlier, he had also lost his father, Eric Selig Philip Cowell, who died in 1999. These experiences encouraged Simon to reflect on the long journey from his uncertain youth to global fame. He began speaking more openly about gratitude and about appreciating people while they are still present in our lives. Friends noticed that he had become more thoughtful and patient. Success, he realized, feels far less meaningful without the people who supported you along the way. Those reflections quietly influenced how he approached both work and life in the years that followed. Learning to accept change. Like many public figures working under constant cameras, Simon also faced pressure about appearance and aging. For a time, he experimented with cosmetic treatments, hoping to maintain the polished look television seemed to demand. Eventually, he admitted that he had gone too far and chose to step back from those procedures. Instead, he embraced a more natural approach to aging. This decision reflected a broader shift in perspective. After decades spent chasing success and perfection, Simon began valuing authenticity more than image. Viewers who had followed his career for years noticed the change. The once intimidating judge appeared more relaxed, comfortable with himself, and less concerned with public expectations. It was another sign that the driven young entrepreneur from the 1980s had grown into someone more reflective and balanced. A legacy beyond television today, Simon Cowell continues to appear on America's Got Talent and other programs, but his role feels different. Instead of focusing solely on sharp critiques, he often encourages performers and shares advice from his decades of experience. Away from the cameras, much of his attention centers on family life and charitable work. He has spoken about directing parts of his wealth toward causes that support children's healthcare and creative education. The man who once measured success through ratings now speaks more about opportunity, giving young people the chance to discover their own potential. His story, filled with setbacks, reinventions, and unexpected lessons, reminds many people that success is rarely a straight path. Sometimes the most meaningful achievements come not from fame or fortune, but from growth, compassion, and the relationships we build along the way.